Hello everybody, Dave Neal here, stand-up comic, host of Bachelor Recap, a Guy's Review. This video, as you can see from the title and thumbnail, is the Rachel Lindsay reacting to Chris Harrison stepping aside after her headline-making interview. Rachel Lindsay was interviewed by her co-worker, Billy Bush of the Bush presidential family. Yep, they're related. Did you know that? The more you know. And we're going to talk about this. I'll play all the things Rachel had to say about after hearing that Chris Harrison was, the petition and the uprising over the interview and all that. So we'll play that. Then we'll discuss the irony of Rachel having this conversation with Billy Bush, a man who has, I guess I would say, recovered from being canceled for his dealing, his complicity with the President Trump behind-the-scenes leaked audio, the grab her by the you-know-what video that was with Billy Bush. So we'll talk about that afterwards. I don't want to take away too much from the story, but there is something to be said about redemption, learning from your mistakes, and moving forward. So we'll talk about that. Let's play this interview and see how it goes. 4 minutes.
Boy, this is right.
Yeah.
Before this blew up, though, how did you feel walking away from the interview?
Yeah, Billy, it's a great question because when I walked away, I was stunned. Not at what was being said, because like Chris referenced in that interview, we have had these conversations. So I wasn't shocked at the content of what he was saying. It was just more of the fact that he was saying it in public, where other people can hear what you think. And your thoughts may be a bit controversial, but I remember also thinking, this is something that needs to be heard. This is something that needs to be seen. And I felt a duty.
Why?
Because when you think of racism, you think explicit racism. Most people do, not you, but just in general. You think wearing a white hood, saying things that are derogatory or offensive. That's explicit racism. But then there's implicit racism, where you have these unconscious biases and stereotypes and misconceptions of certain groups. And that's what we were seeing in that interview. And I think it was a moment for people to recognize what was being said and to learn and grow from it, which is what we're seeing happen now with Chris.
I've never done an interview where I've walked away saying, everything was perfect.
Yeah.
Is there something you wish you had said? Is there a regret or anything like that?
I was so focused in the moment, Billy, on not reacting because I needed people to hear him and not the exchange between the two of us. But in that moment, I wish I would have said, particularly when he talked about the difference between 2018 and 2021, when he said, was it not a good look there? Or is it just now not a good look in 2021? I wish I would have said, what do you mean by that? And what was the difference in 2018? He kept talking about this lens that we were looking at looking at things through 2018 versus 2021. I wish I would have asked him to explain that. I think that would have been all the difference.
How do you feel about his apology?
It's a little hard for me because I lived the experience. I walked away. There was no apology. The apology came after the fact. So it's hard for me to fully accept it. I'm going to need that time and space and compassion that he referenced to really accept the apology, because you weren't apologetic at first. And I'm not saying that I can't believe his apology. I'm not saying that I can't get there. It's just initially, it's a little tough for me.
So here we are in this moment, right? It's amazing how quickly things happen, but we're here.
Yeah.
What should happen now?
Where do we go from here as a franchise? It's kind of hard to say. Chris has stepped aside, which I think is the right decision, because like he said, he needs to take time to get educated and on a profound and productive level, to use his words. And I think he needs to understand what was done, what was wrong in what he said in that interview. And he needs time. He needs to step away to do that. As a franchise, though, where do you go from here when you're starting to see?
Should they step away from him, or should cooler heads prevail and see what he comes up with?
I think you have to see what happens. I think I don't want to play into being too quick to judge someone, right? Am I disappointed? Absolutely. Do I agree with that? What happened in that interview? No. But at the same time, he has taken the steps to not issue one, but 2 apologies. Let's see what happens from there. Now, I will say this, to see the contestants come together and speak out and to say what they don't stand for, I don't know how we continue in this way. How do you, when people in Bachelor Nation are upset, the contestants of this very show, the leads of the show, how does he go on to represent the franchise when people are so upset by what they saw in that interview that we had?
Thank you for watching.
There it is, folks. All right, so what do you guys think about that? I took some notes down there. Rachel Lindsay talked about explicit racism versus implicit racism. Look, while these might seem like just terms we've all used, we understand them. You know, a lot of times with education, take it from advertisers. They need to put a product in front of your face 15 times before you want to buy it. That's why you see these repetitive commercials. Music on the radio. They got to play that song 15 times for you to know that Carrie Underwood is your jam. You know what I mean? So when it comes to learning about the differences of implicit racism, explicit racism, you need to hear these terms. You need someone to explain it. Rachel does such a good job doing that. She says there was no apology. She asked for time and space to understand it all, just like Chris Harrison had wanted to give Rachel Kirkconnell. She says you weren't apologetic at first. These are all things that are true. She wants him to learn and grow from it, but also in these instances, when you're the figurehead, you need to learn and grow from it, but part of that growth is educating other people. As you guys know, if you've been in the comment section of some of these videos, there is plenty of education that needs to happen. Most people are just saying, if you fire Chris Harrison, you lose me. And that's not the solution that educates people. If what we want is to bring together people who get it and people who don't, people that want unity and people that think they already have it, but maybe it's not quite there, the way to bring it all together is through dialogue. The fact that Rachel Lindsay's having this interview is great, but don't we want Chris Harrison to be having this interview as well? And maybe he will, and maybe it's good that he's taking time. Maybe it's good that he's taking time and not talking so he can just get all of his thoughts. Absolutely. It was a very interesting thing. Billy asked Rachel, should Bachelor step away from Chris Harrison or see what his actions are? And it sounds like Rachel kind of agreed. And again, I don't want to conflate anyone's statement, so let me know if you heard this differently. But it sounds like Rachel agreed that, like, let's see what happens. Let's see what actions he takes. But she also says, you know, the contestants are upset. They've all spoken their mind. So at what point, you know, someone brought this up in the comment sections that you haven't heard talked about, because everyone's like, oh, you got to replace Chris Harrison. You got to bring in X, Y, and Z. You got to bring in Wells. You got to bring in Sean Lowe. You got to bring in Rachel Lindsay. There's always someone that they want to bring in. No one has mentioned this except one person in the comment section had mentioned, what if they bring in a co-host? What if they bring in someone who can talk with Chris Harrison so that you have the people that, you know, see Chris Harrison as their TV dad and they don't want him gone, but you can bring in a new person, maybe a stepmom to the scenario, who can help like have these conversations in a way that's not just what is deemed appropriate on camera versus off camera. You want to talk about off camera? Billy Bush was one of the only people that lost their job because of reckless things Trump has done. Okay? The words that Trump say, all the people in his political party, yeah, they disavowed it, but they stuck with him. They knew that he was their path to getting elected, and then they stuck with the hand that fed. That is complicity. That is complicity. Okay? That's what it is. I'm not going to edit that out. I make flaws too, guys. We leave it in. So the idea that Billy Bush was fired for basically not telling Trump that's wrong in a private interview while on the job site. Look, I'm not here to defend Billy Bush, but it goes to show that we were okay getting rid of him, but we didn't do a better job of getting rid of other toxic aspects around that horrible speech. Let me leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think. I think, let's put it this way, because I'm not apologizing for Billy Bush. He's done enough apologies. What has he done to change? I don't know. Maybe he has done stuff. Maybe he just laid low. I'm not sure. This was several years ago. I'm not sure. We're not looking through it through the lens of Billy Bush in 2018. Speaking of 20, I mean, this happened to him in what, 2015, 2016? I'm not sure. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, Billy Bush, I mean, it's a different issue of what happened to him versus Chris Harrison. Completely different issue as far as one's race. One's a very sexist locker room talk, as Chris Harrison put it. Some would call it like a bragging about sexual assault. He was talking about grabbing women on their genitals, essentially, right? And some call that locker room talk. Some say it's sexual assault. And Billy Bush kind of just laughed it off. And they caught that on a hot mic when they weren't on camera. And it's like, Billy Bush, I mean, look, I don't know what was going through his mind, but I know we're all guilty of like not speaking up when we should. And hopefully we can look at these as examples to like really own what's right in your world and try to speak up when you can. I know Rachel tried her best in that interview, but obviously she keeps on doing the circuit, keeps on doing other interviews to speak her mind, and I think that's good for her. I just think, I think we could really benefit from hearing Chris Harrison be a part of these roundtable talks. I just posted a video of Demi immediately apologizing for having a Confederate flag jacket, a Yeezy jacket she wore with a Confederate flag a patch. She immediately apologized, says, I was ignorant, it was wrong, I can't believe I'm so stupid, I hate myself, I'm an ignorant piece of shit. She went through the whole list, and it's like, a lot of people commented saying, I just wish Chris Harrison did that. I wish instead of releasing a statement, he was like, oh my gosh, I'm watching this interview, I'm so embarrassed, I was so wrong that I was interrupting her, I was so hyped up and defensive. And just hearing him talk through it, we don't need a perfect apology. We need to feel like somebody has the authenticity to mean what they say. That's what it comes down to. So we'll have to see with the Chris Harrison how that ends up going. But anyway, it's good to hear Rachel Lindsay talking about it. Leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think, and we'll see you later on.